What if the person you needed most turned out to be you? Think about that for a moment. Think of the quiet nights, the confusion, the longing to be understood. You waited for someone to notice, to care, to explain life in a way that made sense. But no one came like you hoped they would. And so, you grew up. And something incredible happened in that growing. You began to build, brick by brick, the very version of yourself that would have changed everything back then. But you didn't know it. You were just surviving, just doing the next right thing, just trying to stay upright in a world that felt like it was built for someone else. That's the quiet story of so many people who are healing. They don't become strong all at once. They become strong in small, invisible moments. When they choose not to react the way they were taught. When they show up even when it's hard. When they protect someone, or speak up for someone, or sit with someone, the way they wish someone had done for them. That's what no one tells you. You're already becoming the person your younger self cried out for. Not perfectly, not instantly, but truthfully. You're learning how to set boundaries. You're learning how to speak gently, first to yourself, then to others. You're learning how to rest, how to listen to your body, how to feel what you feel without running away. Do you have any idea how rare that is? You might look at your life and see all the things you still aren't, still don't have, still don't know. But the version of you that used to feel invisible? That version would be in awe of how visible you are becoming to yourself. Let's be real. There are days you still feel like that same lost kid, right? You get triggered by things you thought you were over. You blame yourself for things you didn't cause. You question your worth, even when you've done everything right. That doesn't mean you're failing. It means you're healing from something that took years to break. Healing is a strange thing. It's not linear. It's not flashy. Sometimes it feels like silence. Sometimes it feels like rage. Sometimes it feels like nothing at all. But here's the truth. You are already someone your younger self needed. You don't need to be completely healed to be that. You don't need to have it all figured out. You just need to be present, kind, honest. You just need to keep showing up. You know what would have made all the difference for the younger version of you? Someone who stayed. Someone who noticed. Someone who didn't need you to be perfect in order to be loved. And look at you now. You're becoming that person, maybe for your own kids, maybe for your friends, maybe just for yourself. There's something sacred about that. You're not just surviving your story, you're rewriting it. And that story doesn't need to be loud to matter. It doesn't need applause. It doesn't need recognition. It just needs to be lived, one brave choice at a time. Because every time you choose compassion over criticism, you're breaking a cycle. Every time you sit with a feeling instead of numbing it, you're doing the work. Every time you tell the truth, even when it's hard, you're becoming someone your younger self could believe in. And the world doesn't talk enough about that. We're told to succeed, to win, to shine. But no one celebrates the quiet victories, like going to therapy, apologizing first, ending toxic friendships, or choosing to rest without guilt. But those are the real milestones. Those are the quiet revolutions. So if today feels heavy, or slow, or meaningless, stop. Take one moment and see yourself through younger eyes. Not critical eyes, not disappointed ones, but the eyes of the kid who just wanted someone to say, I see you. You matter. You're not too much. You're not too little. You're enough, exactly as you are. And that kid, they'd be proud of you. Even on your worst day, even when you're unsure, even when you're still learning. Because they wouldn't need you to be perfect. They'd just be grateful that someone like you finally exists. But there's something else, something deeper. It's not just that you've changed, it's that you're becoming. Becoming the person your younger self once prayed would show up. Not to save them, but to understand them. To say, I know this is hard, and you're not crazy for feeling what you're feeling. And that matters more than you realize. Because maybe your younger self didn't need a superhero. Maybe they didn't need someone to fix everything. Maybe they just needed someone who could sit beside them and not flinch at their pain. Someone who didn't tell them to get over it, or be strong, but who looked them in the eye and said, yeah, this hurts, but I'm here. That's who you're becoming. And I know you don't feel like it all the time. There are days you wake up and the weight feels the same. The self-doubt creeps in again. You look in the mirror and all you see are the cracks. But let me tell you something. Cracks let the light in. Cracks prove you've survived something. Cracks are how you breathe when the world tries to suffocate you. You don't have to be perfect to be powerful. You don't have to be whole to be healing. In fact, it's in the very moments you feel most broken that your becoming is happening the loudest, even if no one can hear it but you. Maybe your younger self needed boundaries, and now you say no when something doesn't feel right. Maybe they needed encouragement, and now you speak kindly to yourself in the mirror, even on the hard days. Maybe they needed safety, and now you protect your peace like your life depends on it, because it does. See, becoming isn't flashy. It's quiet, subtle, hidden behind the ordinary. It's choosing rest instead of proving your worth. It's sending the message you've been avoiding because honesty matters more than comfort now. It's walking away from what's familiar because you finally understand that peace is more important than being liked. And you're doing it. Maybe slower than you wanted. Maybe messier than you imagined. But you're doing it. Let's get even more real. What if the things you thought disqualified you were actually the exact reason someone will one day feel safe around you? Your softness, your mistakes, your awkward teenage years, your fear of not being enough. What if all those things weren't evidence of failure, but seeds of compassion? What if your wounds taught you how to recognize someone else's? You know that feeling when someone gets it? When someone hears what you're saying without you having to explain it 5 different ways. That's what your pain gave you. The gift of recognition, empathy, connection. You couldn't be this version of you without going through that. And that doesn't mean it was fair. It just means it wasn't wasted. Every time you made it through a season you thought would break you, you built a foundation under your feet. It may be shaky sometimes, but it's real. It's yours. And it's enough to stand on. And look, there's still work to do. Of course there is. Becoming isn't a finish line. It's a lifelong unfolding. But you're no longer running from the work. You're walking with it. You're learning to love the version of you that didn't know better, not to shame them, but to thank them for getting you this far. You're rewriting the story. And the story doesn't need to be perfect. It just needs to be honest. That's where the real healing happens, in honesty. So here's a question. What if your younger self saw you right now? Would they be proud? Maybe. Would they be confused? Possibly. But more than anything, they'd probably be relieved. Relieved to see that you're still standing. That you're not as lost as you used to be. That someone like you was possible. That love didn't forget them. That strength didn't mean being hard. That softness didn't mean weakness. That showing up imperfect was still enough. Because maybe all along, they didn't need someone flawless. They needed someone real. And that's who you are. You are real. You're tired, but you're still trying. You're scared, but you're still showing up. You're healing, even when it doesn't feel like progress. And every step you take now, every choice you make to be a little kinder, a little braver, a little more you, that's becoming. That's what becoming looks like. Not loud, not dramatic, but steady. True, unshakably human. And if no one has told you this lately, I see you. And your younger self? They'd whisper, thank you, with tears in their eyes. Because they knew you were out there. Somewhere. Becoming. There's something quietly powerful in noticing that, despite the chaos, you've become the person you once needed. Not perfect, not fully healed, but present and determined. That's more transformative than you might believe. No one arrives at their ideal self in one leap. It happens choice by choice, choosing presence over escape, boundaries over people-pleasing, rest over numbness. These are quiet revolutions, moments that reshape your story. If you're still here, watching, breathing, showing up, you're already in the process. You may not feel like you've fully arrived, but you're no longer defined by who you used to be. That's enough. So pause now, not to criticize, but to honor where you've come from. Every act of self-compassion, every decision to stay when you could have fled, every moment you choose honesty over hiding, is part of becoming someone your younger self would admire. You don't need perfection. You just need to continue, steadily, truthfully, softly. Your becoming is your gift. It creates ripples, maybe making others feel less alone. Even on the hard days, keep going. That persistence is your legacy, because you're already becoming someone extraordinary, not in fame or accolades, but in depth and grace. And one day, you'll look back with gratitude and see how profoundly you changed your own life. You became someone your younger self could look up to, and that changes everything.